Sir, on behalf of the Department of Business Education College and the Institute of Cost India, I welcome Sukumar sir to today's class. Today is the 14th day on the crash course on GST. So Sukumar sir is a practicing cost accountant at the end emerging professional. So he has been associated with a lot of classes. He has been a resource person. He has been even for institution. You can take over the class, sir. Over.
Can I start, sir?
Yes, sir.
Is it, sir? Can everybody view this my presentation? One second.
Sir, you are yet to share. Sir. You are yet to share.
1 second, sir. I think it is in a hurry way. It is this thing. How to share the one?
Sir, can you see in the below there is an option present now. The place where you unmute, mute, you have an option.
Determined by their size. This can be explained by looking at the energy diagram. Let us compare the energy diagrams of all.
Sir, if you are in the Google
Yes,
Meet screen,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
அந்த கீழே பாத்தீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு ஒரு பார் வரும் பாருங்க. கீழே கொஞ்சம் browser கொண்டு போங்களேன்.
Which is nothing but
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
அந்த இடத்துல present now இருக்கு பாருங்க. அதை போய் கிளிக் பண்ணிட்டு
Yes, sir.
entire screen கொடுங்க.
conduction band is called as band gap. So with
இப்ப entire screen கொடுத்து நீங்க செலக்ட் பண்ணி ஷேர் கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா நீங்க உங்க மானிட்டர்ல என்ன பிரசன்ட் பண்றீங்களோ அது அப்படியே வந்துரும்.
many electronic and optical applications.
இதுல வந்து share your entire screen இருக்கு. Chrome wants to share the content of your screen.
அது அப்படியே entire screen கொடுங்க.
The excited electrons
அது கொடுத்துட்டேன். ஷேர்னு இருக்கு பட் இது செலக்ட் பண்ண முடியும்.
ஒரே ஒரு நிமிஷம் இருங்கடா.
Okay.
Photons relates to the wavelength of photons, which in turn relates to the color that the material.
இப்ப பார்க்க முடியுதா?
சார் இருங்க. சார் பிபிடி செலக்ட் பண்ணுங்க. பிபிடி செலக்ட் பண்ணுங்க. பிபிடி ஸ்கிரீனுக்கு போங்க.
இப்ப தெரியுதா?
இப்ப தெரியுது சார். கொஞ்சம் நீங்க இது பண்ணிக்கோங்க, கொஞ்சம் பெருசு பண்ணிக்கோங்க.
Okay.
இந்த பெர்சன்டேஜ் ஜாஸ்தி பண்ணிக்கோங்க, சரியா இருக்கும். கொஞ்சம் இல்ல இதுக்கு போயிடுங்க சார். வியூ ஆப்ஷன் போங்க. வியூல போங்க மேல. அந்த பெர்சன்டேஜ் இருக்கா? அந்த ஜூம் கிளிக் பண்ணுங்க.
Depending upon the size, for example,
அதுல வந்து நீங்க இப்ப கீழ அந்த % இருக்கு பாருங்க, % அது போய் 150 ஆக்கிக்கோங்க. 50 ஆக்கிக்கோங்க, சரியா இருக்கும். 140 அந்த மாதிரி வச்சுக்கோங்க.
Here we observe the band gap increases as the size of quantum dots decreases.
ஓகே கொடுத்துருங்க.
This is a good example.
Okay, sir.
கரெக்ட்டா இருக்கு சார். இட்ஸ் குட்.
Fine, sir.
Level.
வேற ஒரு சவுண்ட் வருது நடுவுல.
இல்ல இப்ப கட் ஆயிடும் உங்களுக்கு அது.
Okay, sir. So shall I start, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good evening, one and all. I thank to Rakesh sir for giving again wonderful opportunity to present a topic called reverse charge mechanism under GST. So before get into the topic in GST, we have to understand what is reverse charge mechanism. Why the reverse charge mechanisms comes to in GST as a part of the reverse charge mechanism is not a new concept, because it is already in the earlier concept of in the earlier tax regime before 2017 service tax itself, the reverse charge mechanism is there. So let us understand what is reverse charge mechanism. Reverse charge is a mechanism under which the recipient of the goods or services is liable to pay tax instead of the provider of the goods or services, right? So under the normal tax regime, supplier collect tax from the buyer and deposit the same after adjusting the output tax liability with the input tax credit available. But under the reverse charge mechanism, the liability to pay shift from supplier to recipient. So we have to understand Normally in GST, who is liable to pay the GST? One who is providing supply of goods or services. We know very well who is liable to pay GST. One who is doing the supply, because the taxable event is here the supply. So one who is doing supply of goods or services is liable to pay the GST to the government. Where he will collect from the recipient, right? This is the normal forward charge GST. But under the reverse charge, what they are trying to say is, instead of the supplier, okay, instead of the supplier who is supplying the goods or services, instead of them, the recipient has to pay the GST. So that is what they said. Reverse charge is a mechanism under which the recipient of the goods or services is liable to pay tax instead of the provider of the goods and services. Okay, now my next question is, we should know why this reverse charge mechanism, why they want to introduce the reverse charge mechanism. Any idea? I want some interactions also, some feedback also from everybody. Can anybody say why? Can I have some feedback? Otherwise, it's one-way communication. Yes? Anybody? Why the reverse charge is important? Why the government is feel that reverse charge mechanism should be part of the GST? Why? So reverse charge means, we all know, it is instead of the supplier, one who is normally the supplier who is supplying the goods or services is liable to pay GST. Instead of the supplier, here the recipient is liable to pay the GST. Okay, why the concept has been introduced in the GST? Any idea?
Sir, this is Nirupama, sir.
Yes, madam.
Sir, according to me, for example, for instance, let's take that the supplier has not registered under GST.
Very good.
In
Yes.
that case, the recipient, if he or she provides it in the GST portal or website, it will come under paying rights, sir. According to me, I don't know whether it's right or wrong.
Yes. See, what you are saying is this. What you are saying is the supplier, one who is not registered under the GST, right? So the registered person who is dealing with the unregistered person, right? So the unregistered person will not pay any tax, right? So you are saying that because of that, the reverse charge mechanism is important. Yes, what I am saying is partially it has been covered under section 9 subsection 4. Person who is purchasing from the unregistered person, right? Good. Any other views? Any other views? Why the reverse charge is important? Why it has to be included in the GST? Any other views? Any ideas? Right. I will tell you. Thanks for your answer. I will tell you. See, we know in India, if you take a business entities, it may be a corporate, it may be a small proprietorship or partnership or HUF. So many things are there. If you take this business thing, 80 to 85% is MSME, SME, small businessmen, one who is doing business activity, all these things. And if you want to capture everybody to comply the tax, comply the GST, it's very difficult, right? So the supplier, if you take, say, for example, Ashok Leyland, there may be small supplier also there who may not come under the threshold limit also, or maybe giving a different services, providing different services or different supply of goods also they may provide, but you cannot compel them to comply the GST. Even for the construction contractors also, they may not comply. Even you take plumbers, you may not ask them to comply all these things. So what the government feels, somewhat they want to cover everybody, right? To comply the tax compliances and to pay the taxes regularly. So what is the idea they are having? So instead of trusting, or instead of putting this responsibility for a service provider or supplying a small supply of goods, who is a small SMEs or MSME also, instead of putting the responsibility to them, they are concentrating big supplier, service receiver. So Ashok Leyland may receive a service or supply of goods from a small supplier. So they are now giving this responsibility to the Ashok Leyland. So it can be easy, the tax can be easily collected from them instead of searching a small contractor, plumber or construction contractor or small service provider, whatever may be. You may take insurance also. LIC, we know. LIC is the big insurance corporation. Okay. There are so many insurance agents under the LIC. If you want to go and ask every small insurance agent to comply the GST, it's very difficult to capture all these things. So what they are doing, instead of the supplier who is supplying the services to LIC, I mean the insurance agent to LIC, that responsibility for remitting the GST, the responsibility has been trusted to LIC instead of the insurance agent, because insurance agent is a supplier of service. Who is receiving the service? LIC, right? So for collecting GST from the LIC, it's very easy. All of you able to understand? Any doubts? Can you give some feedback? Hello, everybody?
It's clear, sir.
Are you able to understand? Any doubts?
Yes, sir.
Shall we go next? Yes. No, sir, no doubts. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right. So what we are going to see now is, one second. So again, the reverse charge is a mechanism under which the recipient of the goods or services is liable to pay tax. So normally in GST, the taxable event is supply. So supply means you should refer the section 7. It says a broad concept which I'm not getting to that now. One who is supplying the supply of goods or services is liable to pay tax. But under reverse charge, it is a reverse. The name itself, you can understand, it's a reverse. Instead of the supplier of goods or services, the recipient has to pay the tax. The recipient has to pay the GST. That is what the reverse charge, which we should not forget at all. Yes. What is reverse charge mechanism under GST? As per section 2, subsection 1998 of the CGST Act 2017, reverse charge means the liability to pay tax by the recipient. Here we have to understand the recipient of supply of goods or services or both, instead of the supplier of goods of such goods or services or both, under subsection 3 or subsection 4 of section 9, or under subsection 3 or subsection 4 of section 5 of the integrated IGST, integrated goods and service tax. So here says reverse charge, and reverse charge means the liability to pay by the tax by the recipient of the supply of goods and services. That we have understand. What is under subsection 3 or subsection 4 of the section 9? That we should study. That we should study. I will read the section. Section 9 subsection 3 says, the government may, on the recommendation of the council, by notification, specify categories of supply of goods or services or both, the tax on which shall be paid on reverse charge basis by the recipient of such goods or services or both, and all the provision of this act shall apply to such recipient as if he is a person liable to pay tax in relation to supply of such goods or services or both. This is, we should understand. First, what I am trying to say is section 9 subsection 3. Yena reverse charge na enna solliyachu. Reverse charge means liability to pay tax by the recipient of any supply of goods or services or both. It is a reverse charge, right? Now what we are trying to say is, try to explain is section 9 subsection 3. It deals with the reverse charge mechanism. Adla enna solranga, the government on the recommendation of the council. The government, okay, the central government, the recommendation, what is the council? GST council. On the recommendation of the council, okay, by notification, specify category of supply of goods or services or both. What is the specify category of supply of goods or services of both? See, there are certain category of goods or category of services which has been notified by the government, right? On which you have to pay the reverse charge. On which we have to pay the reverse charge. Sir, adu enna sir, certain category of goods or supply of goods or services, that will be discussed later. Adu enna category of goods, enna category of services we will discuss later. But செக்ஷன் 9(3) என்ன பவர் கவர்மெண்ட் கொடுத்திருக்கு? ஆன் த ரெக்கமெண்டேஷன் ஆஃப் த கவுன்சில். அதுதான் ரொம்ப முக்கியம். இந்த ஜிஎஸ்டி கவுன்சில்னு ஒண்ணு இருக்கு. அந்த ஜிஎஸ்டி கவுன்சிலோட ரெக்கமெண்டேஷன்ல அதுல மெம்பர்ஸ் இருக்காங்க. இட் ஹஸ் பீன் ஹெடட் பை த சேர்மன். ஃபினான்ஸ் மினிஸ்டர் தான் அதுக்கு சேர்மன். அதுக்கப்புறம் ஸ்டேட் ஃபினான்ஸ் மினிஸ்டர்ஸ் எல்லாமே அதுல மெம்பர்ஸா இருப்பாங்க. சோ அவங்களுடைய ரெக்கமெண்டேஷன் பேர்ல they will notify certain category of supply of goods or services. இதுல இன்னொரு விஷயம் என்னன்னா, which means the list can be added or deleted னு புரிஞ்சுக்கணும். The list can be added or deleted. It can be increased or decreased. Specify certain category of supply of goods or services or both. The tax on which shall be paid reverse charge basis by the recipient of such goods or services or both. Which means whatever the list of items or list of goods or services specified in the table, which are the tax has to be paid on reverse charge basis. On reverse charge basis, not forward. Reverse charge basis அப்படின்னா அந்த டேபிள்ல குறிப்பிட்ட உள்ள எல்லா குட்ஸுக்கோ சர்வீஸ்க்கோ ரிவர்ஸ் சார்ஜ் பேசிஸ்ல பே பண்ணணும். அப்ப அந்த ரெசிபியன்ட் ஆஃப் த குட்ஸோ சர்வீஸோ இஸ் த லயபிள் டு பே டாக்ஸ்னு அர்த்தம். அது என்ன ஸ்பெசிஃபை கேட்டகரி ஆஃப் குட்ஸ் அண்ட் சர்வீசஸ் we will discuss. And all the provision of this act shall apply to such recipient as if he is a person liable for paying the tax in relation to such goods or services or both. இது ரொம்ப முக்கியம். All the provisions of this act. What is all the provisions of this act? All the provision of the in the GST ல என்னென்ன ப்ரொவிஷன் நார்மலா ஒரு ஜிஎஸ்டி ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ண ஒரு கம்ப்ளைண்ட் பண்ணணுமோ அது எல்லாமே சரி அப்படின்னா என்ன? which means they have to maintain they have to file the returns, they have to maintain all the records for which they have purchase ஆனாலும் சரி சேல்ஸ் ஆனாலும் என்னென்ன ரெக்கார்ட்ஸ் they have to everything have to maintain. So all the statutory complaints they have to maintain and they have to abide all the provisions, all the என்ன ரூல்ஸ் ரெகுலேஷன்ஸ் என்ன கொடுத்தாலும் ஜிஎஸ்டி எல்லாத்துலயும் அப்ளை பண்ணணும். shall apply to such recipient as if he is the person liable for paying the tax in relation to such supply of goods or person. நார்மலா ஒரு ஜிஎஸ்டில சப்ளையர் எப்படி மெயின்டைன் சப்ளையர் தான் டாக்ஸபிள் ஈவன் அவர் எப்படி மெயின்டைன் பண்ணுவாரோ அதே மாதிரி as if he is also liable to pay tax ரிவர்ஸ் சார்ஜ்ல இவங்களும் பே பண்ணணும் ரெசிபியன்ட். So இவங்களுமே they have to maintain the record properly and they have to comply all the provision of this act ன்னு சொல்றாங்க. Any doubts? Any doubts? Thank you. Okay, next under subsection 3. Yes
sir, whether employer relationship will come under RCM, sir?
No. What you are saying is it is come under the there is a schedules is there which we should study this meaning and scope of supply னு ஒன்னு இருக்கு. அந்த மீனிங் அண்ட் ஸ்கோப் ஆஃப் சப்ளைல நீங்க சொல்ற எம்ப்ளாயர் ரிலேஷன்ஷிப் இருக்கு. அது எதுலன்னா ஷெட்யூல் 2ல சொல்லுவாங்க if I'm not wrong. என்னன்னா there are certain services or supply of goods which will not be either treated as a supply of goods nor a supply of services. அந்த supply of goods ஆவும் எடுத்துக்க மாட்டாங்க, supply of services ஆவும் எடுத்துக்க மாட்டாங்க. அந்த கேட்டகரியில அது வருது, அது ஷெட்யூல்ஸ்ல வருது. அது ஆர்சிஎம்ல வராது, அதுக்கு ஜிஎஸ்டியும் வராது. எம்ப்ளாயர் ரிலேஷன்ஷிப்க்கு ஜிஎஸ்டி வராது. ஆனா ஒரு விஷயத்தை புரிஞ்சுக்கணும். we should understand one thing that எம்ப்ளாயின்னு சொல்லும் போது there is also something called contract employee னு ஒன்னு இருக்கு. கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா? கான்ட்ராக்ட் எம்ப்ளாயின்னு ஒன்னு இருக்கு. that is not the regular employment which you are engaged. Yeah. So அந்த ஆஸ்பெக்ட் வரும்போது அது கான்ட்ராக்ட் எம்ப்ளாய்மெண்ட் வரும்போது அதுக்கு we are giving a supply of services னு வரும்போது that is termed as a simpler சொல்லணும்னா அது ஒரு sort of you are rendering services to the company, extending your services to the company. That is not the regular employment. அந்த பேசிஸ்ல வரும்போது ஜிஎஸ்டி வரும். ஆனா அங்க இது ஆர்சிஎம்ல வருமானு கேட்டா ஆர்சிஎம்ல வராது. அதுதான் ஒரு வார்த்தை சொல்லியிருக்காங்க செக்ஷன் 9 சப்செக்ஷன் 3ல there are specific category of goods or services which is listed in the table. அந்த டேபிளை ரெஃபர் பண்ணா அது என்னென்ன சர்வீசஸ்க்கு ஆர்சிஎம் வரும், என்னென்ன கூட்ஸுக்கு ஆர்சிஎம் வரும்ன்றது நமக்கு தெரியும். that will be discussed later. First what you have to understand is section 9 subsection 3. அதை நல்லா புரிஞ்சுக்கணும். அதுல என்ன சொல்ல வராங்க, இந்த கவர்மெண்ட் வந்து அந்த ரெக்கமெண்டேஷன், அந்த ஜிஎஸ்டி ரெக்கமெண்டேஷன், ஜிஎஸ்டி கவுன்சிலோட ரெக்கமெண்டேஷன் பேசிஸ்ல they can list out specifies category of goods or services. அவங்க லிஸ்ட் அவுட் பண்ணலாம், இந்த சர்வீசஸ்க்குலாம் ஆர்சிஎம் வரும், இந்த சர்வீசஸ்க்குலாம் இந்த கூட்ஸ்க்குலாம் ஆர்சிஎம் வரும். they can list out. okay, that will be mentioned in the separate category of supply of goods or services. அதுக்கு மட்டும் தான் ஆர்சிஎம் வரும். அது செப்பரேட்டா டேபிள் இருக்கு, நோட்டிபிகேஷனும் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. அதை நம்ம ரெஃபர் பண்ணா we can understand என்னென்ன கூட்ஸுக்கு ஆர்சிஎம் வரும், என்னென்ன சர்வீஸுக்கு ஆர்சிஎம் வரும். as of now your question is எம்ப்ளாயருக்கு எம்ப்ளாய்க்கு ஆர்சிஎம் வரும்னா வராது. clear? shall we go next?
Yes sir.
thank you. okay, இப்போ next வந்து section 9 subsection 4. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நம்ம ஒரு விஷயத்தை நல்லா அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணுங்க. செக்ஷன் 9 subsection 3க்கும் செக்ஷன் 9 subsection 4க்கும் என்ன டிஃபரன்ஸ் தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும். செக்ஷன் 9 subsection 3 நான் சொன்னது என்னது அப்படின்றத நம்ம இப்ப பார்த்தோம். என்ன சொன்னோம், கவர்மெண்ட் வந்து அந்த ரெக்கமெண்டேஷன் ஆஃப் த கவுன்சில் பிரகாரம் ஸ்பெசிஃபை சர்டன் கேட்டகரி ஆஃப் சப்ளை ஆஃப் கூட்ஸ், ஸ்பெசிஃபை சர்டன் கேட்டகரி ஆஃப் சப்ளை ஆஃப் கூட்ஸ் ஆர் சர்வீசஸ். அந்த ஸ்பெசிஃபை கேட்டகரி ஆஃப் சப்ளை ஆஃப் கூட்ஸ் ஆர் சர்வீசஸ் வந்து ஆர்சிஎம் தான் பே பண்ணணும், ரிவர்ஸ் சார்ஜ் தான் பே பண்ணணும். அப்படின்னா ரெசிபியன்ட் தான் ஜிஎஸ்டியை பே பண்ணணும்ன்றத பார்த்தோம். அதே மாதிரி அந்த ரெசிபியன்ட் வந்து எல்லா டாக்ஸ் கம்ப்ளைண்ட், அந்த ப்ரொவிஷன் எல்லாத்தையுமே ஜிஎஸ்டியில சொல்லப்பட்டிருக்க எல்லா ப்ரொவிஷனுமே they have to comply properly அப்படின்றத பார்த்துட்டோம். இப்போ செக்ஷன் 9 subsection 4 என்ன சொல்லுதுன்னு பார்ப்போம். let us discuss section 9 subsection 4. the government on the recommendation of the council by notification specify a class of registered person. The word starts is very clear. The government may on the recommendation of the council by notification, திருப்பியும் பார்க்கற recommendation of the council. அப்ப கவர்மெண்ட் வந்து they are not taking a sole decision. they will always consider the GST council. அதுக்கு தான் GST council ஒன்னு. based on the recommendation only the government will issue the notification. that is what the word starts with. the government on the recommendation of the council. when I say council means it is a GST council. on the recommendation of the council by notification specify a class of registered person. again they say specify. when I say specify na குறிப்பிடத்தக்கன்னு அர்த்தம். ஒரு சில பேர் specify a class of registered person who shall in respect of supply of specified category of goods or services or both, who shall in respect of supply of specified category of goods or services or both received from an unregistered supplier. இதுதான் ரொம்ப முக்கியம். செக்ஷன் 3ல அத பத்தி சொல்லல, சாரி சப்செக்ஷன் 3ல அத பத்தி சொல்லல. ஆனா சப்செக்ஷன் 4ல who shall in respect of supply of specific category of goods or services are both received from an unregistered supplier. so section 9 subsection 4 talks about supply of goods or services from an unregistered person, which means unregistered supplier pay the tax on reverse charge basis as the recipient of such supply of goods or services are both, and all the provision of this act shall apply to such recipient as if is the person liable for paying the tax in relation to such supply of goods or services are both. simple understand பண்ணிக்கணும்னா section 9(3) section 9(4). section 9(4)ல சொல்றது என்னன்னா, section 9(4)ல சொல்றது என்னன்னா, if you are purchasing a goods or services from an unregistered person, right? unregistered person அப்படின்னா அதுக்கு ரிவர்ஸ் சார்ஜ் பே பண்ணணுமா அப்படின்னு கேட்டா எஸ் பே பண்ணணும். ஆனா ஸ்பெசிஃபைடு கேட்டகரி ஆஃப் கூட்ஸ் ஆர் சர்வீசஸ், the condition is you should whatever the specified category of goods which is listed in the table and the goods yo service yo, if you are purchasing from an unregistered person, then the recipient has to pay the reverse charge. okay, the recipient has to pay the reverse charge mechanism. The recipient has to pay the RCM GST. The recipient has to pay the GST, not the supplier. The recipient has to pay the GST. so section 9(3) க்கும் 9(4) க்கும் டிஃபரன்ஸ் என்ன, நார்மலா இருக்கிற ஒரு certain category of specified category of goods or servicesக்கு you have to pay the RCM.
Sir,
right? You have to pay.
Sir, presentation காட்டல sir.
No, it is in the BAR Act. What I'm studying is the BAR Act.
Okay, sir. Okay,
இதுல
sir.
டீடைலா இப்ப section 9 subsection 4 section 9 subsection 3 பத்தி டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன், which is I am taking from the BAR Act. The now idea is, please understand the difference between the section 9.3 and section 9.4. section 9.3 section 9.4. the difference என்னன்னா, section 9.3 ன்றது you have to comply whatever the specific category of goods or services which is listed in the table. If you are dealing with that supply of goods or services, you have to compulsorily category of services or category of certain category of supply of goods. இது எந்த goods mention ஆயிருக்கோ டேபிள்ல, supply of services mention ஆயிருக்கோ, அந்த சர்வீஸையோ அந்த கூட்ஸையோ நீங்க ரெசிபியண்டா இருந்தா you have to pay RCM. section 9.4ல அதே certain category of goods or services if you are purchased from an unregistered person இருந்தாலும் you have to pay the RCM. அதுதான் section 9.3 க்கும் 9.4 உள்ள difference. Any doubts? You can chat, you can give your feedback. Any doubts, or you want one more explanation? Please give your feedback. Any doubts? Shall we go next?
No, sir.
Thank you. So the current situation, the present scenario, the reverse charge mechanism is applicable. Service taxes for services like insurance agent, manpower supply, good transport agency. Unlike service tax, there is no concept of partial reverse charge. The recipient has to pay 100% tax on the supply. This we have to understand, because in GST mechanism there is no partial mechanism. Earlier, like in service tax, 40% recipient pay பண்ணனும், 60% supplier pay பண்ணனும், அந்த மாதிரிலாம் இருந்தது. But GST பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் there is no partial reverse charge. 100% has to be paid by the recipient. 100% has to be paid by the recipient on the tax on the supply. Yes. In earlier the government scenario, it was hard to collect the service tax from the numerous unorganized sectors, just similar to the goods transportation effort. Goods transportation effort has been made to place the services as per the existing regime, and the compliances and tax collections will therefore be increased through reverse charge mechanism. Currently, there is no reverse charge mechanism on the supply of goods under the GST. Reverse charge mechanism both applicable for the goods and services. So here, as I said, it is really difficult in the earlier tax regime. What I'm saying is, before GST, it was hard to collect the service tax from the numerous unorganized sectors, just similar to the goods transportation. Like in the GTA, it is very difficult because, as I already told, there are so many unorganized sectors there, which is difficult to cover everybody. So that is what the responsibility has been fixed to the recipient instead of the supplier. Instead of the supplier, the responsibility to pay the GST has been fixed to the recipient. Because recipient big shot, I mean, big corporates are there. Big corporates kill so many small MSMEs there. And the small MSME track பண்ணி GST collect பண்றது ரொம்ப difficult. அதனால அந்த responsibility recipient of the service வச்சிட்டாங்க. அந்த corporate they have to bear the GST. They have to pay the GST to the government. And the responsibility has been fixed to the recipient, big corporates. So that is the idea to introduce this reverse charge mechanism. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Thank you. So here, scenario where reverse charge will be applicable under GST. In case of unregistered dealer selling goods to the registered dealer, then the liability to pay shift on the registered dealer, that is the recipient of goods, where such supply is of taxable supplies. No reverse charge mechanism in case of exempted supplies. That we have to understand. The supply should be a taxable supply, should not be exempted supply. If it is exempted supply, no reverse charge mechanism. But in case if you are unregistered dealer and selling goods to the registered dealer, section 9.4, as I said, section 9.4. But we have to understand one thing. Section 9.4 is, whether it is in operational keta, till now it is not in operational. Please understand, section 9.4 persons who are purchasing from an unregistered dealer, whether the recipient has to pay tax as per section 9(4), that provision has been deferred. Now it is not in operational. Future it will be implemented. And the on the modus operandi they will bring it in the future. But as of now, it is not in operational. எல்லாருக்கும் புரியுதா? All of you able to understand? Section 9(4), it is not in operational, which means person purchased from an unregistered person. அது இன்னும் அந்த provision operational இல்ல. That provision has been deferred. Yes. See, this CBSE has not, yes.
Sir, if both the
Yes,
supplier
please.
and excuse me, sir.
Yes. Tell
Am
me.
I audible, sir?
Yes. Very much audible. Please.
Sir, if both the supplier and the recipient is not registered, then what will be the scenario, sir?
Then there is no GST at all. See, for example, that is what I am saying. The act is very clear. I will read it once again. The line itself, I'll read it. The government, on the recommendation of the council by notification, specify a class of registered person. Section 9(4) is very much clear. Specify a class of registered person. When I say specify a class of registered person, they may give registered na enna? Who is called a registered person? Any idea who is called a registered person? One who is registered under the GST. One who is registered under the GST. And one who is liable to pay GST. They also should register under the GST. Right? Suppose once you cross the threshold limit of the turnover, but still you are not registered under the GST, whether you can say that I will not pay GST? Yes. Whether can you say like that? நீங்க registered person na யாருன்னு முதல்ல தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும். Registered person யாரு? Registered person na one who is registered under the GST. Correcta? GST registration வாங்கினவங்க எல்லாம் registered person. At the same time, one who is liable to pay GST also. They also should register under the GST. என்னோட turnover வந்து I'm having the turnover of 2 crores, but I have not registered under the GST. Can I say I will not pay GST because I have not registered under the GST? என்கிட்ட registration number இல்ல, நான் GST pay பண்ண மாட்டேன்னு சொல்லலாமா? Because the act says very clearly, section 24 of registration provision says, once you cross the threshold limit, you should compulsorily register under the GST ன்னு அர்த்தம். So நான் register பண்ணல, அதனால நான் GST pay பண்ண மாட்டேன், RCM comply பண்ண மாட்டேன், you cannot say. That is what the registered person definition says. One who is registered under the GST and also one who is liable to pay GST. Both are called as a registered person. So specify a class of registered person who shall, in respect of supply of specific category of goods or services, are both from an unregistered person. It's very clear, from registered person. I mean, a registered person purchasing from an unregistered person only. Section 9(4) says, if a both a person is not registered means, if a both a person is not a registered person means, then they will not do any sort of thing. They will not come under the RCM itself. But one thing, what I'm talking is section 9(4). Section 9(4). In section 9(3), it's very clear. If you are dealing a specific category of supply of goods or services or both, tax on which shall be paid by the reverse charge basis by the recipient of such goods. So once you are a recipient of such specific category of goods or services, then you have to compulsorily pay the GST. Compulsorily pay the GST. As if the recipient, as if the person liable for paying the tax in relation to such supply of goods or services. But ஒரு விஷயம், first நம்ம scope of supply நல்லா புரிஞ்சுக்கணும். யார் வந்து what is supply and who is liable to pay GST. Once you are dealing with the business category, then you have to comply all these things. You are not ever, you are using for a personal thing, then there is no need to pay anything. All of you able to understand? Any doubts?
Sir, I have another one doubt.
Yes.
Sir, as
Yes,
you
tell me.
told, if a recipient is not a registered person, if If a registered person, if the supplier is not registered and the recipient is registered, then what will be the scenario, sir?
If a supplier is not registered, the recipient is registered, then it comes around this purchasing from an unregistered person, section 9(4). Purchasing from an unregistered person. That is what the government may, on the recommendation, they say, no, specific class of registered person who shall, in respect of supply of specific category of goods or services, both from an unregistered person. So supplier is not registered, but the recipient is registered, which means you are purchasing from an unregistered person. But again, you have to classify in two ways, section 9(3) and section 9(4). Section 9(3), what it says? Section 9(3) says specific category of supply of goods or services. Suppose you take an example of advocate. Advocate is rendering a legal service to a company. Whether a company, advocate is not registered under the GST. He is exempt. He is need not to pay any GST. He will not comply any GST at all, because he is exempted from the GST itself, right? So, but the services to whom he is giving? To the corporate. Now you tell me whether the corporate has to pay the GST or not. Yes, Kritika,
Yes,
please
sir.
tell me.
They have to pay, sir. They have to pay.
He has to pay. Yes, that is what I am also saying. So section 9(3), section 9(4), both you have to thoroughly understand. Section 9(3) says once the certain category of supply of goods or services, if you're rendering supply of goods or services which is mentioned in the table, then obviously the recipient has to pay the tax. He cannot escape it. Understood? Shall we go next one?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So here, CBSE has notified a list of services on which reverse charge mechanism will be applicable. The table, I think here only the 5 is mentioned, but again this 16 or 26 something is there. The list of table. So few only here mentioned for the for easy understanding. One is goods transport agency. Goods transport agency. Who is the recipient here? Casual taxable person. Okay, body corporate, partnership firm, any society, factory, any person registered under the CGST, SGST, IGST Act. So here the GTA, Goods Transport Agency. What is Goods Transport Agency? Any idea? Goods Transport Agency na yaar?
Logistics, sir.
Very good. Logistics company. So here they are giving logistics services, but the GST has to be paid by whom? Whether GT or recipient? Whether GT or recipient? It has to be paid by recipient. Correct? So here the recipient means casual taxable person. First of all, I want to understand who is a casual taxable person. Can anyone say who is a casual taxable person? Any idea? Casual taxable person na yaar? Any idea? Everybody? Who is called casual taxable person?
A
Any idea?
person registered under GST, sir.
A person is who is registered under the GST. Fine. Will you define who is registered under the GST? Everybody is a casual taxable person. யாரெல்லாம் register பண்ணிருக்காங்களோ எல்லாமே casual taxable person. Shall we say like
Sir,
that?
sir, he is a principal as well as agent of the business, sir. A casual taxable
Principal as
person.
well as agent.
He acts
Can
both
we say
as principal and agent.
Okay. So your view is he can act both as a principal as well as agent. So shall we say that principal as well as agent? No. No. Any other views?
Sir, if he
Yes.
supplies as per section 7A, sir.
Okay.
The one who sets up business
Yes.
occasionally.
Very good, very good, very good. Casual taxable person, he will do business occasionally means, say for example, the name itself you can understand. It's a casual. ஒரு வருஷத்துல 3 மாசம் தான் வேலை செய்வார். இப்போ நீங்க you can take an example. நீங்க இந்த தீபாவளிக்கெல்லாம் பாத்தீங்கன்னா அது இந்த சிட்டி அவுட்ஸ்கர்ட்ல they will take one கல்யாண மண்டபம். They may come from peoples may come from Surat and they bring lot of clothes like sarees, shirts, pants, everything they bring, and within the season, the Deepavali season, they will sell it. ஒரு இயர்ல பண்ணக்கூடிய பிசினஸ் they will do it within 1 month or 2 months itself. So they will achieve the turnover for the year க்கு என்ன நடக்குமோ அதை 1 or 2 monthsல அச்சீவ் பண்ணிடுவாங்க. And for the remaining 10 months க்கு they will not do any job. So அந்த 2 months மட்டும் தான் they will do the business. அவங்கள we can say it's a casual taxable person. We can say them as a casual taxable person. But அவங்களுமே கூட once they want to do business here, just for the 2 months or 1 month, whatever may be, they should register under the GST. அப்ப இதுல நல்லா புரிஞ்சுக்கணும், they are including GTN சொன்னா, because tomorrow you cannot say, sir, நான் வந்து தீபாவளி சீசனுக்காக நான் வந்து I'm bringing the clothes from Surat, sarees எல்லாம் எடுத்துட்டு வரேன். ஓகே, நான் sarees எடுத்துட்டு வரேன், நான் GTN மூலமா எடுத்துட்டு வரேன், I will not pay reverse charge mechanism because ஏன்னு கேட்டா because I am a casual taxable person சொல்லக்கூடாது. That is what they clearly mention. Recipient means it also include casual taxable person, body corporate, partnership firm. In the casual taxable person, another interesting thing is you cannot just like that start the business. Please understand. Just like that you cannot start the business like booking Kalyana Mandapam and bringing all these things. I mean, clothes, sarees, everything, sell it and you cannot escape it. Once you want to start the business, you have to get the GST number. And the GST number they will not give as such like நீங்க போன உடனே நான் business start பண்ணனும். They will see all your credentials, past everything, and they will give the applications, everything, and your documents required for registration, KYC, all these things they will check it. And beyond that, they will ask you, they will means the department, GST department will ask you to give a advance tax. The advance tax என்றது எப்படி அவங்க கால்குலேட் பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, you should give this sales projections. நான் next 2 months தான் பண்ண போறேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, இந்த 2 monthsல என்னோட சேல்ஸ் எவ்வளவு இருக்கும், right? How much my sales? Say for example 10 lakhs அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, then you have to pay 10% tax. 1 lakh you have to deposit, advance tax you have to deposit to the department. Then only they will give the GST registration. And they have to file a form also, return, which is a return. And once you file the return, and the return வந்து நீங்க once business close பண்ண உடனே you have to file the return and say what is the budgeted, how much you have saved, how much you have projected, actual sales என்ன ஆயிருக்கு, I have projected 10 lakhs but actual sales happened 20 lakhs, so already I paid a tax of 1 lakh, remaining 1 lakh I have to pay now, and you have to settle the tax. Then only you can cancel, you can surrender the registration, then you can go to your hometown Surat. இதெல்லாம் process. So this is what about the casual taxable person. What I'm trying to say is the recipient means it also include casual taxable person. All of you able to understand? All of you able to understand? Shall we go next?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So recovery agent, banking company, NBFC, any financial institution. Can anybody say what is recovery agent? Recovery agent என்ன? யாராவது சொல்ல முடியுமா recovery agent என்ன? Who is called recovery agent? Any idea? Who is called recovery agent? Recovery agent என்ன? Please give your feedback. No issues. Whatever you know it, please tell me. Anybody is there? Any views? Who is called recovery agent? Recovery agent na yaraka theriyuma?
Sir, recovery agents are those people like those people who will go and collect loans, no sir, from banks
Yes.
and all.
Yes.
Actually, they are only recovery agents, right, sir?
Yes. Yes. Actually, they will not collect loans from the bank, but instead of the bank, they will go collect the loan from the customers. எப்படின்னா பேங்க்ல லோன் கொடுத்துருவாங்க, ரைட்? பேங்க்ல லோன் கொடுத்துற பிறகு what will happen? Bank, why they are giving loan? They are giving loan for interest, but the borrower, one who is getting loan from the borrower, well, loan from the bank, right? They will not repay the loan on time. Okay, if they are not repaying the loan on time, what will happen? What will happen? If they are not repay the loan on time means automatically the loan become an NPA. The loan become an NPA. What is NPA? Non-performing assets ஆயிடுது. அப்படின்னா வாரா கடன் சொல்லுவோம். அப்போ என்ன ஆகுது? இந்த லோனை வந்து எங்க அவங்க போய் வந்து they can collect it? எப்படி கலெக்ட் பண்ண முடியும்? Bankers are very decent and they cannot collect as such. They cannot spend time for loan collection. They are very difficult. So what they will do, they will appoint a recovery agent. That agent oda duty enna? Say for example the outstanding is 100 rupees. They will go to the borrower place. They will liaising with the bank and the borrower, and they will try to collect the money. இல்லையா? அந்த repayment அந்த loan amount they will try to collect from the borrower. யாரும் சும்மா போக மாட்டாங்க இல்லையா? For that, the recovery agent will get the commission. What is called commission? அந்த கமிஷனுக்கு GST வரும். பட் அந்த GST யார் பேர் பண்ணுவாங்க? Who will pay the GST for that one? The recipient of the service. Here, who is the recipient of the service? Can anybody say?
Bank, sir.
Who is the recipient? Very good. Very good. Bank is the recipient of the service. So now the bank has to bear the GST. அதுதான் இங்க சொல்லியிருக்கேன் பாருங்க. Recovery agent, banking company, NBFC or any financial institution, which we will call BFSI. BFSI. Next, a director of a company or a body corporate. A company or a body corporate. So director, shall we say director is a, here one doubt is coming. Whether director is an employee of the company. Whether director is an employee of the company. சொல்லுங்க. Whether director is the employee of the company. Can anybody say? I want your answers and I want some interactions. Don't worry that whether you are telling right or not. That is not important. Participation is important. Please tell me.
Yes, sir.
Whether
No,
Director
sir.
is an employee, sir.
No, no,
somebody
sir.
says yes.
Yes,
Somebody
sir.
says no. So I want to ask you why yes.
He gets salary, right, sir?
Okay.
So he's
Okay.
employees.
He is an employee. That's your view. Fine. Somebody says no. Why? What is name?
Sir, because he's appointed by the
Yes.
or is elected by the board. So
Okay.
and he will
Yes. No issue. Tell me. Yes, my dear. Tell me.
he will be getting shares
Yes.
from the company, sir.
Okay. He will get a shares from the company. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Here we have to understand the one thing. First, I will clarify it. Thank you, my dear. Thank you. See, first I will clarify. When a director means, you can say executive director, non-executive director, whole-time director. Executive directors means whole-time director. So whole-time director means one who is fully devoted his time to for a company, is managing the company, is managing the day-to-day affairs of the company. For that, he will get the monthly salary. He may have the DIN number, he may have the directorship, everything, but is a whole time. Whole time means the entire efforts, entire time he will be a executive. He is like a employee of the company. If I say non-executive, he will participate the decision of the company, board decisions. That only he will participate. For that, he will getting a sitting fees. He will get a sitting fees. He is not the employee of the company. So we have to categorize two things. One is the executive and non-executive directors. Executive director means whole-time directors and non-whole-time directors. If it's a non-whole-time director, he is not an employee. If it's a whole-time director, he is an employee. You take managing directors. Managing directors, they will come like an employee, morning to evening. They will sit there. They will manage the day-to-day affairs of the company, right? Then you can say they are all employee of the company. I mean, they can treat as an employee of the company, right? But in case people who is participating only board meeting and they participating only company important decisions and all this stuff, it will be called as a non-executive, right? Here, services supplied by a director of a company or a body corporate to the said company or the body corporate, right? The supplier of services is a director of the company or a body corporate. The company or a body corporate located in the taxable area. So here what we have to try to understand is executive directors, whole-time directors, okay? Whole-time directors, they are treated as an employee of the company. So the GST will not applicable. But the non-executive directors who will come to the company once in quarter or once in 6 months, that once in 4 months or once in 5 months, whatever may be, only they will participate in the board decisions. They will get a sitting fees, right? They are not the employee of the company. In that case, the reverse charge mechanism will applicable, not for the whole-time directors, right? Whole-time directors, examples, managing directors. Executive director ke employment mari, employee, they are a employee of the company, right? Non-executive director என்றவங்க அப்படி கிடையாது. You take an independent director also. They are also not executive directors, independent directors, right? They are rendering their professional services to the company. In that case, reverse charge mechanism will come. Any doubt? No, sir. He is elected by shareholders. Yes, there are non-executives. Executive ன்றவங்க போர்ட்ல டிசைட் பண்ணி இந்த வாட்டி மேனேஜிங் டைரக்டர் இந்த இவங்களை கொடுக்கலாம், இந்த பர்சனை பேஸ்ட் ஆன் த கிரெடென்ஷியல்ஸ், ஏதாவது கம்பெனில இருந்து வந்திருப்பாங்க, அவங்களை அப்பாயிண்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க. தென் தே ஆர் ஆல் மேனேஜிங் டைரக்டர்ஸ் ஆர் ஆல் ஹோல் டைம் டைரக்டர்ஸ். தே ஆர் அன் எம்ப்ளாயி ஆஃப் த கம்பெனி. அவங்களுக்கு ஜிஎஸ்டி ஆர்சிஎம் வராது. தே ஆர் கெட்டிங் லைக் a salary. நீங்க ஆனுவல் ரிப்போர்ட்டை பார்த்தாலே தெரியும். பட் நான் எக்ஸிக்யூட்டிவ் டைரக்டர்ன்றவங்க வந்து அப்பாயிண்ட் பை த ஷேர் ஹோல்டர்ஸ் தான், and they are rendering their professional service to the company. In that case, RCM will come. Any doubts? Please, any doubts?
No, sir.
No
Raise
doubts,
your
sir.
doubts. All of you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Advocates. An individual advocates or firm of advocates, an arbitral tribunal, any business entity. Here we have to understand one thing. That here, one second. Here, an advocate who is rendering his services to a business entity. They said any business entity, not individual, business entity. So advocate service to a business entity alone will come under the RCM. நார்மலா ஒரு பர்சன் பர்சனல் அவருடைய பர்சனல் இதுக்காக போயிட்டு ஒரு லீகல் சர்வீஸ் எடுத்துக்கிற சொன்னா தென் ஆர்சிஎம் வராது. பட் இஃப் அட்வொகேட், சே ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள், ஒரு இன்டைரக்ட் டாக்ஸ் டிஸ்பியூட் இருக்கு, the company is received the notice, they are getting some opinion from the advocate. Okay, company is a corporate, is a business entity. Okay, here advocate is a rendering services to the business entity. So இதுல supplier of service யார் பண்றா? Advocate. Recipient யாரு? Business entity, that corporate. So who is to bear the GST? Who is to pay the GST here? That business entity, right? But here they say only business entity. Non-business entity RCM வராது. Please understand. Only business entity தான் RCM வரும். Insurance agent, any person carrying on insurance business. Previously ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் கூட சொல்லியிருந்தேன். சப்போஸ் இன்சூரன்ஸ் ஏஜென்ட்ஸ் நிறைய இருக்கு. யுனைடெட் இந்தியா இருக்கு, எல்ஐசி பிகெஸ்ட் இன்சூரன்ஸ், HDFC லைஃப் இருக்கு, SBI லைஃப் இன்சூரன்ஸ். So many insurance companies are there on which they are having so many under that so many insurance agents இருக்காங்க. Individual insurance agents இருக்காங்க. They are rendering their services to the insurance company. Because insurance agent ஓட அவங்களுடைய ரோல் என்ன? They will go to the public or business entities. They will persuade them. They will ask them to take policies, right? So based on their persuasions, based on their marketing skills, based on their this thing, they will study everything and they will take policies from the insurance company. அப்ப இதுல வந்து அந்த செல்லிங் ஏஜென்ட்டா யார் இருக்கா? இன்சூரன்ஸ் ஏஜென்ட் தான் இருக்காரு. அந்த இன்சூரன்ஸ் ஏஜென்ட் யாருக்காக? on behalf of the insurance company they are selling the products. இன்சூரன்ஸ் ப்ராடக்ட் அவங்க சேல் பண்றாங்க. இப்ப இந்த இடத்துல they are rendering service to the insurance company. So now who is liable to pay the GST? Insurance agent or insurance company? Here the RCM will applicable and the GST has to be paid by the insurance company because they are the recipient of the service. They are the recipient of the service. Again one more thing சொல்றேன். Section 9(3) ல சொல்லிருக்கோம் இல்லையா? Specify category of supply of goods or services. அதுதான் இது. அந்த டேபிள் தான் இது. இந்த கேட்டகரி ஆஃப் கூட்ஸுக்கும் இந்த கேட்டகரி ஆஃப் சப்ளை ஆஃப் கூட்ஸுக்கும் இந்த கேட்டகரி ஆஃப் சப்ளை ஆஃப் சர்வீஸ் பத்தி எல்லாமே RCM வரும் அப்படின்றது தான் இது. All of you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Shall we go next one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. இதுல the only one thing is I want to explain the GTA alone because the GTA ல வந்து supply of services by a goods transport agency who has not paid union territory tax the rates expenses. இது supply of services வரும்போது யார் யாரெல்லாம் வரா? Factory registered under the Factories Act, society registered under the Society Act, any cooperative society established under any law under the law, any person registered under the CGST, SGST and UGST, any body corporate, any partnership firm, right? இதே போல I want to explain for goods also. One second. Just 1 second. I will take the goods also, which is not mentioned in the PPT, but I will explain it. Please hold on. I will ask one question. Please answer me. Is the reverse charge mechanism applicable only to services? I want some answers. Hello. Can anyone say, is the reverse charge mechanism applicable only to services? வெறும் சர்வீசஸ்க்கு மட்டும் தான் ரிவர்ஸ் சார்ஜ் மெக்கானிசம் வருமா? No sir. No sir. No sir. So which means you are saying that reverse charge mechanism will come for goods also, correct? Are you agree with me? Are you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I will read the answer for your questions. The answer is no. Reverse charge apply to supply of both goods and services. Because section 9(3) says specify category of goods and services. Not only services, it's also included goods. இப்போ நம்ம பார்த்தோம் services என்னென்ன பார்த்தோம்? We see insurance agent, director, advocates, goods transport agency and so on. Like that, goods-க்கும் இருக்கு. அது என்னன்றதை பார்க்கலாம். We will see what it is. Reverse charge applies to supply of both goods and services as notified by the government on the recommendation of the GST Council. Right? I will not read in depth on the notification number. Reverse charge is also applies to the supplies received by a registered person from an unregistered person. However, the provision of reverse charge liability on supplies received from an unregistered person, as provided in section 9454 of the CGST Act and IGST Act respectively, have been kept abeyance till 2019, but now it is 2020. So let us understand the 94 வந்து நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி அதை defer பண்ணிருக்காங்க. It is not in operation சொன்னேன். But we should know reverse charge services க்கு என்னென்ன வந்ததுன்னு பார்த்தோம். அதே மாதிரி we should know reverse RCM on goods க்கு என்னென்னு பார்க்கணும். We should understand what is the reverse charge on goods also. What are the supply of goods covered under the RCM? The question is, what are the supply of goods covered under the RCM? First one is supply of goods under RCM mechanism. First one is cashew nuts not shelled or peeled. அப்படியே அந்த முந்திரி இது இருக்கு இல்லையா, cashew nuts, அதை பீல் பண்ணாம அப்படியே அதை வந்து as an agricultural, யாரு agriculturist, who is the supplying of goods? Agriculturist, farmer. Recipient of goods, any registered person purchasing cashew nuts not shelled or peeled from the farmer, then RCM will come. Right? Next, BD vapor leaves, again it is from the farmer. Agriculturist, the supplier of goods is agriculturist, the recipient is any registered person. Third one is tobacco leaves, again it is supplier of goods is agriculturist, recipient of goods is any registered person. Fourth one is raw cotton, supplier of goods is agriculturist, farmer, recipient of goods is any registered person. Fifth one is supply of lottery, supplier of lottery tickets. You know lottery tickets, no? Yes. Adoda supplier of goods yarna state government, union territory or any local authority. Supplier of goods is state government, union territory or any local authority. Recipient of goods is lottery distributor or selling agent. நீங்க தமிழ்நாட்டுல பார்க்க முடியாது, but if you go to Kerala you can see this one, lottery distributor or selling agent. Sixth one, used vehicles seized on confiscated goods, old and used goods, waste and scrap. Central government, state government, supplier of goods is central government, state government, union territory or local authority, any registered person. I want to know one thing here is, what is confiscated goods? Any idea? Confiscated. What is confiscated goods? Any idea? Seized goods. Very good. எங்க seized ஆகும், எப்ப seized ஆகும்? ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்ல முடியுமா?
No idea, sir.
Okay, no issue. I will explain. See, இப்போ இந்த கஸ்டம்ஸ்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா நார்மலி வந்து இந்த கூட்ஸ் வந்து இம்போர்ட் பண்ணும்போது, yes sir, yes, tell me yes Ashwath, tell me. During import, yes, நீங்க இம்போர்ட் பண்ணும்போது பாத்தீங்கன்னா சம்டைம்ஸ் என்ன ஆகும், இம்போர்ட் பண்ணா என்ன பண்ணணும், we have to pay customs duty இல்லையா? அப்ப கஸ்டம்ஸ் டியூட்டி பே பண்ணாம போனா அந்த கூட்ஸை வந்து கான்ஃபிஸ்கேட் பண்ணிடுவாங்க. 3 நாள் இருக்கும். 3 days குள்ள you have to clear the goods. If you not clear the goods and you are saying that, giving a letter that I'm not able to என்னோட அந்த goods வந்து என்னால customs duty pay பண்ணி எடுக்க முடியல என்னால, so you can go for auction சொல்லிட்டீங்கன்னா the customs authority will confiscate the goods and they will auction it and they will recover the customs duty, right? So இந்த சினாரியோல வந்து யார் வந்து அங்க கஸ்டம்ஸ் ஏரியால போயிட்டு அந்த கான்ஃபிஸ்கேட்டட் குட்ஸ் ஆக்ஷன்ல எடுக்கிறாங்களோ they have to pay the GST. That is what they say. The recipient is any registered person and the supplier of goods is central government, state government, union territory and local authority. இதுதான் confiscated goods சொன்ன example. All of you able to understand? When smuggling goods take place, goods can be confiscated. Yes. That is also there. But அதிலே இன்னொரு ஒரு customs ஒன்று இருக்கு, confiscated as well as the other one, the good terminology is there which I forgot now. Confiscated and one more important thing which you cannot recover it. This can be recovered which cannot recover it. அது ஒரு இது இருக்கு, right? Priority lending certificate. Any registered person or any registered priority sector. Priority. What is priority sector? Priority sector lending. Any idea?
So agriculture.
Very good.
Sector, sir.
Yes, that is what the priority sector lending. அப்ப நீங்க priority sector lending பண்றீங்கன்னு சொன்னா, then that there is a notification dated 28/5/2008. If a supplier of goods is any registered person and the recipient of goods is any unregistered, but the year says that the priority sector lending certificate. Priority sector lending certificate, not the priority sector lending certificate. If you are issuing a certificate, priority sector lending certificate kudukra mari irundha, registered person to registered person RCM will come. So there are 7 things I will repeat. First one is cashew nuts, right, which is again supplier of goods is agriculturist, recipient of goods any registered person. Second one is BD wrapper leaves, supplier of goods is agriculturist, recipient of goods is any registered person. Tobacco leaves, supplier of goods is agriculturist, recipient of goods is any registered person. Silk yarn, raw cotton, all these things. Silk yarn is a person who manufactures silk yarn from the raw silk or silk womb cocoons for supply of silk yarn. That is a supplier of goods. Recipient means any registered person. Raw cotton, agriculturist. Recipient of goods is any registered person. Supply of lottery, supplier of goods is state government, union territory or any local authority. And recipient of goods is lottery distributor or selling agent. Sixth one is used vehicles, seized and confiscated goods, old and used goods, waste and scrap. Supplier of goods here is central government, state government, union territory or local authority. Recipient of goods is any registered person. Seventh one is priority lending certificate issued by any registered person to supplier of goods is registered person. Recipient of goods is any registered person. Scenario where reverse charge will be applicable under GST. Points to be noted. No partial reverse charge will be applicable under GST. 100% tax will be paid by the recipient if reverse charge mechanism applies. In case of B2B, what is B2B? What is B2B? Business to business. Very good. In case of business to business import of other services, tax shall be payable by the recipient of services. In case of business to business import of goods, tax shall be paid by the recipient of the goods. The important point is, when does the liability to pay GST and reverse charge mechanism arise? We all of you know that reverse charge mechanism has to be paid. But when does the liability to pay the GST under the reverse charge mechanism? எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியுது reverse charge mechanism pay பண்ணணும். But அது எப்போ pay பண்ணணும்? And what time? There is a time of supply, one concept is there. This will help you to say when you have to remit the GST to the government. As far as RCM is concerned, எப்போ RCM pay பண்ணனும் அப்படின்றத we will see. In case of supplies in respect of which tax is paid or liable to be paid on reverse charge basis, the time of supply shall be the earliest of the following dates, namely the date of the receipt of goods or the date of payment as entered in the books of accounts of the recipient, or the date on which the payment is debited in his bank account, whichever is earlier, or the date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice or any other document by whatever name called in lieu of there by supplier. One second. So, இதுல ரெண்டு விஷயம் we have to see. One is goods and services. One is goods and services. We have to see time of supply for the goods, and we have to see time of supply for a services. What I am talking is reverse charge. RCM க்கு supply of goods இருந்தா எப்போ பே பண்ணணும், RCM க்கு supply of services இருந்தா எப்போ பே பண்ணணும். நீங்க பாட்டுன்னு RCM applicable ஆயிட்டு tax pay பண்ணாம you cannot hold it. If you hold it, then you have to pay interest, penalty and all other implications. So first of all, tell me what do you understand time of supply? அப்பதான் நான் இதை சொல்ல முடியும் கரெக்டா. Please explain me what is time of supply.
The date when the recipient gets the invoice from supplier.
When the recipient gets invoice from the supplier. Okay. Any other views? Because unless you know the time of supply, நான் RCM இப்ப பே பண்ணணும்னு சொல்றது அது waste. You should know what is time of supply. Anybody? Any other views?
Sir. Sir.
Yes.
If the business concern issue the invoice, or if the customer has made a payment, they have to see amount
Yes.
to
Yes.
which is made earlier. If for example, if business
Yes.
concern SNYZ is decided to supply goods on 1st January, and the receipt then had already given invoice from the SY company on 28th December 2019. So amount to the time of supply is 28th December 2019, which happened earlier. This is taken as time of supply, sir.
Very good, very good, very good. What you explain is to find out the time of supply for a services or goods, whatever it may be. Very good. But my question is, what is time of supply?
Sir, the invoice date, sir.
Invoice date?
That date mentions the time of supply, sir. Because the recipient can find out when the due date is coming or arriving, sir.
Recipient has to find out the due date. For what due date? For why due date? My simple question is, time of supply na
Making
enna?
the payment, sir.
Making the payment to whom?
To the supplier, sir.
To the supplier. சப்ளையருக்கு எப்போ பணம் கொடுக்கணும்னு சொல்றதுதான், ஐ மீன் சப்ளையருக்கு எப்போ பணம் கொடுக்கணும்னு சொல்றதுதான் டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளையா?
Yes. Section 12 of GST Act, sir.
Section 12 of GST Act.
When the payment is made to the supplier or the invoice is raised.
Fine.
That is called the time of supply.
Very good, very good, very good. Thank you. But என்னுடைய கொஸ்டின் திருப்பி அதுதான், டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளைனா என்ன? நீங்க சொல்றதுலாம் வந்து how to arrive the time of supply for services, supply of goods சொல்றீங்க. And somebody says the payment we should make to the due date la payment supplier க்கு கொடுக்கணும்னு சொல்றீங்க. The time of supply is fix the point. It fixes the point when the liability to charge GST arises. எப்போ GST நீங்க you have to charge, right? When you have to charge the GST, and the same thing we have to remit to the government. And the due எப்போ வருது அதை ஃபைண்ட் அவுட் பண்ணணும். நான் வந்து சப்ளை ஆஃப் கூட்ஸோ சர்வீஸோ பண்ணிட்டேன், என்னுடைய இன்வாய்ஸோ இல்ல டேட் ஆஃப் பேமெண்ட்டோ ரெண்டே விஷயம் தான். ஒரு சப்ளை ஆஃப் கூட்ஸ் பண்ணாலும் இல்ல சப்ளை ஆஃப் சர்வீஸ் பண்ணாலும் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் we have to issue the invoice. அந்த இன்வாய்ஸை பேஸ் பண்ணி they will give the payment. இது ரெண்டுத்துல எது earlier கூட நடக்கலாம். பட் when my liabilities arises for GST, when my liability will arises, அதான் முக்கியம். சம்டைம்ஸ் என்ன ஆகும், இன்வாய்ஸ் வரதுக்குள்ள பேமெண்ட் கூட சீக்கிரம் வந்துடும். பட் இன்வாய்ஸ் ரைஸ் பண்ணல அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஜிஎஸ்டி ஹோல்ட் பண்ண முடியுமா? கவர்மெண்ட் பே பண்ணாம இருக்க முடியுமா? we don't know what is the point. That is what the time of supply says. It fixed the point where the liability to charge the GST arises and when you have to remit to the government ன்றது சொல்றது தான் time of supply. It can be either of earlier of date of payment or invoice. But the thing is, when you have to pay the GST to the government, when the liability arises for you, அப்படின்றத கண்டுபிடிக்கிறது தான் time of supply. All of you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. இப்போ இதுல வந்து now we are going to study what is the time of supply of goods in case of tax payable under reverse charge. Reverse charge இருந்தா in case of goods இருந்தா எப்போ time of supply? What is the time of supply? Again saying, time of supply is nothing but finding out the GST liability to pay to the government, GST department. எப்போ pay பண்ண due, find out the due date. That is the crux of the time of supply. So time of supply will be the earliest of the following dates. என்னது? Date of receipt of the goods. என்னைக்கு எந்த டேட்ல goods receive ஆச்சோ, date of the receipt of the goods, or date on which payment is made, or date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice by the supplier. Where it is not possible to determine the time of supply under the above three clauses, the time of supply shall be the date of entry in the books of accounts of the recipient of the supply. So earliest of the following சொல்றாங்க. Earliest of the following dates. Number 1 என்ன? Date of receipt of the goods. எந்த டேட்ல goods receive ஆயிடுச்சு நமக்கு அது, அல்லது or date on which the payment is made. என்னைக்கு நம்ம பேமெண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கோம் சப்ளையருக்கு அந்த டேட், or the date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice by the supplier. Supplier கொடுத்த invoice dateல இருந்து 30 நாளைக்குள்ள earliest of the following dates. என்னது? Earliest of the following dates. So date of the receipt of the goods, or date on which payment was made, the payment is made, or the date immediately following 30 days. அப்ப ஆக மொத்தம் 30 டேஸ்க்கு மேல போகாது. கரெக்ட்டா? The date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice by the supplier. So supplier வந்து invoice ரைஸ் பண்ணிட்டாரு அப்படின்னா அதுல இருந்து 30 நாளுக்குள்ள RCM கம்ப்ளை பண்ணணும் in case of supply of goods under the reverse charge. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Whether you are clear the concept? First one is date of the receipt of the goods. In case date of the, say I will tell you one example for easy understanding, so you can find out the time of supply. Suppose take an example 10/9, right? 10/9/2000 take, okay, yes, say for example 25/8/2020 you have received the goods. right? Received the goods. Date of payment is happened 10/9/2020, right? 10/9/2020. Invoice is raised 28/2020. 28/2018. அப்போ goods received on a date வந்து 25/8/2020. date of payment வந்து 10/9/2020. invoice ரைஸ் பண்ணது வந்து 28/2020. earliest of the following dates என்ன? அதுல இருந்து 30 days. 28ல இருந்து 30 days.
28/2020.
இல்ல இன்வாய்ஸ் டேட்ல இருந்து 30 days ஆகணும். 30 days கணக்கு எடுக்கணும். 30 days கணக்கு எடுத்தா எது வருது? ஆ 25/8. வெரி குட் பாலகிருத்திகா, வெரி குட். 25/8 தான் earliest of the dates. because invoice date வந்து 28 தான், but that is not the earliest date. அதுல இருந்து 30 days. I will repeat the thing. The date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice by the supplier. So date of issue of invoice அதுல இருந்து 30 days அப்புறம் தான் you have to see. அப்போ strictly speaking 20, அப்போ அதுல இருந்து 30 days னா following 30 days னா 21 22 அதுல 10 days plus இதுல 10 days again 29 வரைக்கும் உங்களுக்கு டைம் இருக்கு, ரைட்டா? 29 வரைக்கும் உங்களுக்கு டைம் இருக்கு. பட் earliest of the following dates பார்க்கும்போது date of receipt of goods எப்படி என்னைக்கு வந்தது? 25/8/2020. so earliest of the date பார்க்கும்போது 25/8, 10/9/2020 and 30 days from the issue from the date of issue of invoice வந்து 29/2020. earliest of the date பார்க்கும்போது 25/8/2020 தான் டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை. அப்போ ரிட்டர்ன் ஃபைல் பண்ணும்போது 10/9/2020 ரிட்டர்ன் 3B ஃபைல் பண்ணும்போது ஆர்சிஎம் பே பண்ணணும். அக்டோபர் மாசம் ரிட்டர்ன் ஃபைல் பண்ணும்போது ஆகஸ்ட் மாசத்துக்குள்ள ஆர்சிஎம் அக்டோபர் மாசம் கம்பல்சரி யூ ஹேவ் டு பே இட். அதுதான் ப்ரொவிஷன். whether you have any doubts?
So will you please tell again those dates, sir?
Sorry, you want one more explanation? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes. See, you are purchasing a laptop. So not laptop because that is not come under the RCM. You are purchasing a cash units. அது வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா டேட் ஆஃப் இன்வாய்ஸ் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா 28/2020. that is the date of invoice, right? date of receipt of goods வந்து 25/8/2020. date of payment வந்து 10/9/2020, ரைட்டா? இப்போ மூணுத்துல எது ஏர்லியஸ்ட்னு பார்க்கணும். you will say 28. அப்படி சொல்லக்கூடாது. ஏன்? இன்வாய்ஸ் டேட்ல இருந்து 30 days கணக்கு எடுத்துக்கணும். இன்வாய்ஸ் டேட்ல இருந்து 30 days பார்த்தா 29/2020 வந்துடும். ஸோ அப்போ எந்தெந்த டேட்டை கம்பேர் பண்ணணும்? டேட் ஆஃப் ரிசிப்ட் ஆஃப் குட்ஸ் என்ன? 25/8/2020. டேட் ஆஃப் பேமெண்ட் 10/9/2020 அண்ட் டேட் ஆஃப் இன்வாய்ஸ் ஆன் விச் 30 days இஸ் கம்ப்ளீட்டட். அது வந்து 29/2020. இதுல ஏர்லியஸ்ட் எது? 25/8/2020. டேட் ஆஃப் ரிசிப்ட் ஆஃப் குட்ஸ் தான் ஏர்லியஸ்ட். ஸோ அந்த டேட்ல வச்சு அக்டோபர் மாசம் ரிட்டர்ன் ஃபைல் பண்ணும்போது நீங்க ரிவர்ஸ் சார்ஜ் மெக்கானிசத்துக்கு ஜிஎஸ்டி பே பண்ணணும். இதுதான் டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை. ஆல் ஆஃப் யூ ஏபிள் டு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட்? எனி டவுட்ஸ்?
Yes, sir. No.
Thank you. The same thing for now. What is the time of supply of services in case of tax payable under reverse charge? Now what we discussed is supply of goods க்கு இல்லையா? supply of goods under reverse charge க்கு time of supply எப்படி பார்க்கணும்னு பார்த்தோம். இப்போ பார்க்க போறது time of supply of services in case of tax payable under the reverse charge. supply of services க்கு எப்படி time of supply கண்டுபிடிக்கணும் in case of reverse charge mechanism. Number 1 is time of supply will be earlier of the following dates. என்னென்ன? date on which payment is made. Number 1 is date on which payment is made, or the date immediately following 60 days 60 days from the date of issue of invoice by the supplier. Say for example, date on which payment is made na நீங்க என்னைக்கு எந்த டேட்டுக்கு பேமெண்ட் நீங்க கொடுக்குறீங்க. சே ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஒரு அட்வொகேட் இருக்காரு, அவருடைய லீகல் சர்வீஸ்க்கு யூ ஆர் மேடிங் யூ டன் அ பேமெண்ட், ரைட்? தட் டேட் ஆஃப் பேமெண்ட் ஆர் the date immediately following 60 days from the date of issue of invoice by the supplier. அவர் எந்த டேட்ல இன்வாய்ஸ் கொடுத்தாரோ அந்த டேட்ல இருந்து 60 days கால்குலேட் பண்ணிக்கணும். 60 days ஆர் டேட் ஆஃப் பேமெண்ட், whichever is earlier you have to take it. Say for example, இப்போ advocate have rendered a legal opinion to you on which he raised the invoice. He raised the invoice when? He raised the invoice from 1st April 2020 for example. Date on which payment made எப்போ? Date on which payment made வந்து say for example 25 June 2020. இப்போ அதுல இருந்து 60 days பார்க்கணும். ஏப்ரல்ல இருந்து ஏப்ரல் 30, மே 31st. So May 31st is the due date. இல்லையா? நீங்க எப்ப பேமெண்ட் பண்ணீங்க? 25 June பேமெண்ட் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க. அப்ப earliest of the date எது? 31st May தான். So 31st May is the due date for paying GST under the reverse charge mechanism. Is that clear? Any doubts? Or you want to repeat me? Repeat it once again. All of you able to understand?
Could you repeat it, sir?
No, sir.
Yes.
Clear, sir.
Okay. I will explain one more time. Say for example, the provision says, what is the time of supply of services in case of tax payable under reverse charge mechanism? Time of supply of services க்கு in case of reverse charge mechanism வந்தா எப்படி time of supply கண்டுபிடிக்கிறது? Okay, because time of supply தான் due date சொல்லுது. GST எப்போ RCMல பே பண்ணணும்னு சொல்லுது. இல்லையா? அப்போ first thing is date on which payment is made. Second is the date immediately following 60 days from the date of issue of invoice by the supplier. You take an advocate service have rendered, right? இப்போ நம்ம எப்ப சர்வீஸ் ரெண்டர் பண்ணாடுறது முக்கியம் கிடையாது. ரெண்டு விஷயம் தான். டேட் ஆஃப் பேமெண்ட் என்னைக்கு? 25th June 2020, 25th June 2020, 26 2020, அதான் 25th June 2020. பட் இன்வாய்ஸ் டேட், அட்வொகேட் இன்வாய்ஸ் கொடுத்துருப்பார் இல்லையா, அந்த டேட் எப்போன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா 1st April 2020. இப்போ எந்த டேட்டை நம்ம கன்சிடர் பண்ணணும் ஜிஎஸ்டி பே பண்றதுக்கு? ஜிஎஸ்டி என்ற ஆர்சிஎம்க்கு எந்த டேட்டை கன்சிடர் பண்ணணும்? டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை எப்படி கண்டுபிடிக்கணும் அப்படின்னா, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் திங் இஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இன்வாய்ஸ் டேட் எடுத்துப்போம். இன்வாய்ஸ் டேட் வந்து 1st April, அதுல இருந்து 60 days எடுத்துங்க. பிகாஸ் ஆஃப்டர் 60 days only the liability will come. அப்போ April 30, May 30 இல்லையா? 60 days முடிஞ்சது. May 31st 61st day 61st day வந்து உங்களுக்கு லயபிலிட்டி வந்துருச்சு, ஆர்சிஎம் லயபிலிட்டி வந்துருச்சு. ஆனா டேட் ஆஃப் பேமெண்ட் எப்போ பண்ணிருக்கீங்க? அட்வொகேட் 25th June 26, 2020 தான் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க. earliest of the following, ரெண்டுத்துல எது earliest? 31st May 2020 is the earliest of the following. so அதுதான் வந்து டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை. அப்ப ஜூன் மாசம் ரிட்டர்ன் ஃபைல் பண்ணும்போது you have to pay the RCM னு அர்த்தம். Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any doubts?
Sir, I have
for
a doubt.
goods, the time period is,
Yes.
sir, for goods, the time period is 30 days and for services 60 days also.
Yes, exactly. Goods பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் 30 days from the date of invoice ல இருந்து, சர்வீஸ் பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் 60 days. Is it okay?
Okay, sir. Understood.
Yes.
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, whether these rules will be different in the FCM, sir?
Forward charge. Yes, forward charge பொறுத்த வரைக்குமே உங்களுக்கு இது வந்து it will be like அது வேற ப்ரொவிஷன்ல வரும். எப்படின்னா இப்போ நீங்க 60 days சொல்றீங்களே, அங்க அதெல்லாம் இருக்காது. That is different. Forward charge-க்கு definitely it will be different. Reverse charge-க்கு different. அது செப்பரேட் ப்ரொவிஷன், இது செப்பரேட் ப்ரொவிஷன். அது அக்கார்டிங் டு செக்ஷன் 31 பிரகாரம் இன்வாய்ஸ்லாம் ரைஸ் பண்ணணும். அது 30 days தான் சொல்லுவாங்க அதுலயுமே. But it is slightly different from the forward charge. Any other
Okay,
doubt?
sir. Thank you, sir.
It's already we discussed. We are giving some example also. Date of payment, where it's not possible to remove an example. Manner of payment under GST. As per section 49(4) of the CGST Act, ITC can be used for payment of output tax only. Therefore, tax and reverse charge can be paid through cash only without availing the benefit of ITC. The supplier mentioned his tax invoice whether tax is payable and reverse charge. The service recipient can reveal the ITC on the tax amount that is paid under the reverse charge on goods and services. The only condition is that the goods and services are used or will be used for business or furtherance of business. If the composite dealer falls under the reverse charge mechanism, the dealer is ineligible to claim any credit of the tax paid. Also, in this case, will be paid in the normal applicable rates, not on the composition rate. We have to understand one thing: how the RCM is paid. Whether the RCM can be set off against the ITC available. RCM cannot be set off against the ITC. It can be paid in cash only. Please understand. உங்களுக்கு ஒரு ITC பெனிஃபிட் இருக்கு. அந்த ITC பெனிஃபிட்டை நான் வந்து RCM பே பண்றதுக்காக அட்ஜஸ்ட் பண்ணிக்கலாமா அப்படின்னு கேட்டா you cannot do it. You have to pay RCM through cash only. ஆனா RCM பே பண்ணிட்டு அந்த ITC you can avail. Are you able to understand? Whatever RCM you pay. இப்போ நம்ம அட்வொகேட் சொன்னோம். அட்வொகேட்ஸ் நீங்க வந்து ஃபீஸ் பே பண்ணி அந்த ஜிஎஸ்டி நீங்க பே பண்ணிருக்கீங்க இல்லையா, அதை நீங்க ஐடிசியா நீங்க எடுத்துக்கலாம். பட் அந்த லயபிலிட்டி ஆர்சிஎம் பே பண்ணும்போது இருக்கிற எக்ஸிஸ்டிங் ஐடிசியோட அட்ஜஸ்ட் பண்ணணும்னு நினைச்சா முடியாது. ஆல் ஆஃப் யூ ஏபிள் டு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட்? அதே மாதிரி சப்போஸ் இஃப் யூஆர் காம்போசிட் பர்சனா இருந்தா யூ கேனாட் டேக் ஆர்சிஎம் ஐடிசி, ரைட்? வாட் எவர் த பேமெண்ட் யூ ஆர் மேட் அலாங் வித் ஜிஎஸ்டி, த ஜிஎஸ்டி இஸ் a benefit for you. If you are a composite dealer, you cannot avail the ITC. Normal taxpayer, yes, of course, you can take the ITC. But RCM cannot be adjusted against the ITC lying in your books. It can be paid through cash only. Any doubts? Any doubts? Shall we go next one?
Yes, sir.
As per registration requirement or reverse charge mechanism, as per section 24 of the CGST Act 2017, a person paying tax under the reverse charge mechanism has to compulsorily get registered even if the turnover is below threshold limit. Although the rates for compensations has not been notified, will applicable on tax paid under reverse charge mechanism also. The purpose is to compensate states for loss of revenue implementation of the GST. This will be applicable for 5 years from the date of the GST gets implemented. Somebody is asking that, sir, நாங்க ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் எடுக்கலாம் கூட நான் வந்து பே பண்ணணுமா? நான் ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் எடுக்கலாம் கூட RCM பே பண்ணணுமா? அதுக்கு தான் இந்த क्वेश्चन. A person paying tax under the reverse charge mechanism has to compulsorily get registered even if the turnover is below threshold limit. Section 24. Section 24 ல very clear, if you are come under the RCM, நீங்க ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் எடுக்கணும்ல, கம்பல்சரி எடுத்து தான் ஆகணும். ஈவன் உங்க த்ரெஷோல்ட் லிமிட் வந்து below the limit also. Say for example, if the limit is 40 lakhs or whatever may be, if you are not reaching 40 lakhs and you are dealing with the RCM transaction, and you cannot say that I will not comply the RCM because I am not registered. Section 24 very clear that once you are doing a RCM transaction, you have to compulsorily register under the GST. அதனால நீங்க ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணலன்னு சொல்லக்கூடாது, ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணணும். RCM transaction போறன்னு உங்களுக்கு தெரியுது, you are very clear that you are dealing the RCM transaction, then you have to compulsorily register under the GST and you have to pay the GST under the RCM. So initially கேட்ட ஒரு क्वेश्चनக்கு பதில் வந்துருச்சு, right? Any doubts? Any doubts? Shall we go next one? Any doubts? Shall we go next one? Thank you.
No doubt, sir.
Applicability of compensation says, although rate the compensation recess has not been notified, so it is not relevant now. So what is the conclusions? What we can say as far as this reverse charge mechanism with the biggest tax reform ready to be implemented? Reverse charge mechanism is not a new concept, as we are already dealing with this service tax. But imposing 100% reverse charge is definitely a big change. There are both pros and cons for this reverse charge mechanism, but no accurate conclusions can be drawn currently as to how the society will be impacted with these implications. One hand, it will be definitely a burdensome for small supply receivers, but on the other hand, it will increase the tax complaints for the country as a whole, would increase the tax transparency. See, as far as this reverse charge is concerned, as I already told, it can be a burden for a small service provider, but the government is thought we cannot regulate each and everybody, a small taxpayers. We cannot regulate all the contractors or it can be a service provider or small MSME, SMEs. So somehow they want to control it, right? They want to get the tax corrections through their big shot. If you take an LIC, it's a big corporation. But all insurance agent they cannot go and correct and ask them to comply the GST and issue notice. So many complications, and they themselves they are all individuals, and they themselves like it very difficult to maintain the records and everything, because they are doing for their survivals and all this thing. So in that such case, it is treated as a taxable service, and the GST also be paid, but not by the service provider. Instead of service provider, they are thrusting the liability to the service receiver, that is the LIC of India. It is very easy also, very convenience and transparency, and the tax collections also will improve. So if tax collections improve, our government physical measures will be strengthened. The tax revenue will be more, and they can spend more welfare to the government, people of the country. So that ultimately the reverse charge mechanism, it is not the new concept. It is already existed in the earlier tax regime, which is somehow revamped and implemented in the new GST concept. So with this, I conclude these presentations. And if you have any doubts, please ask me. I'm ready to explain. Any doubts? Any doubts, all of you? Any doubts? No, sir. Thank you. I thank to each and everyone for your patience to listen my lecture on the reverse charge mechanism. How was the sessions? All of you able to understand the
Very
concept?
good and interesting, sir.
Thank you so much. See, due to my small time, because we are engaged with a lot of things, I try to explain the concept. So if there is any unintentional mistakes is there, please bear with me. So thank you so much. Thank you, Umadevi. So thank you so much for your cooperation. It was a very pleasure. Once again, thank you to everybody. And can I have Rakesh sir? Rakesh sir is there? Rakesh sir is there? Thank you so much. Rakesh sir is there? Can anyone? Rakesh sir is there? He's not there. Okay. So in between, how many of you? Any doubts is there? First of all, regarding GST, anything? Not only reverse charge mechanism. Any other doubts is there? You can discuss with me. How many of you pursuing CMA? Anybody is doing CMA course here?
Yeah, we'll meet tomorrow. I think sir has already completed. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.
So I'm from this institution. My area of specialization is this, and I'm interested in developing a course for swine. That is enough right now. And if you can sit and work upon it in the due course,